Shalom. Giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Bashem, Rukah Kodash. Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this video simply a response to Revelation 13, 9 and 10. It means what it says. Put up by Remnant say 144, and I will let you what I'm going to do. I listened to a little bit more than 3 minutes, so I'll play this again. What I want to is the Bible Hub. And I went to Cambridge, put in Revelation 13 and 10. Went to Cambridge. And Cambridge interpretation, commentary rather, says pretty much the same thing we say. I didn't read the rest of these comments or commentary. I may get into some of them more get into them as well. Excuse me. You know what I'm gonna do? Let me try something. Let's see if the word Rome comes up. A Roman. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Roman Empire. So we might have to read this. Matter of fact, we're gonna read this. Matthew Henry's concise commentary. So you got the Roman Empire. Revelation 13 is talking about the Roman Empire. The first Roman Empire 2,000 some odd years ago, and the rebirth of the Roman Empire. That's what the Renaissance is all about. The Renaissance of what was reborn? The Roman Empire. Uh-oh, Rome again. Rome. Okay, it says here Romish Antichrist. Gill's exposition of the entire Bible. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Listen, I haven't read this, so go into captivity as the devil by whom men are led captive at his will. And the Rome-ish Antichrist. The Rome-ish Antichrist. Because the Romans were against the Messiah. They were the ones that signed off on his death. So of course they were anti-Messiah, who leads multitudes of souls to hell. These shall be taken and cast into the lake of fire. That's the new Rome. Okay, it says which three things are notorious in the Romish Antichrist. That's a new word. Romish Antichrist. You Edomites are the Romish Antichrist. And in the same treaties, they say that the sword, the next judgment mentioned, daily judgment and provisions, he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. The design of the phrase is to show that there will be a just Ooh-wee. That's talking about, they keep mentioning Rome, Romish Antichrist. Rome came up 15 times. Okay, he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. The design of the phrase is to show that there will be a just retaliation made to the anti-Christian beast, which is the Roman Empire. So when you read Revelation 13 and 10, I'm going right to 10. When John was receiving that vision, and he wrote it down, he saw the Roman Empire that he was a part of. He was living during the time of the Roman Empire. And he saw the new Roman Empire, the reborn Roman Empire. If you go to Revelation 13, 1 and 2. For all, hey, these commentaries, man, they're coming out with the truth. You're saying the same thing we're saying. I don't know what vocab is saying. Oh, it's a spiritual thing, and that's nobody listen to vocab. Nobody listen to that guy. For all his cruelty, the Romish Antichrist, to the saints, and the murders of them, and that because he has shed much blood of the saints who did that, the Roman Empire. Blood of the saints, blood shall be given him to drink. Drink of that cup, and he shall be used in like manner. He has used others. See Genesis 9 and 6. Matthew 26, verse 52. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Who are the saints? Psalms 148. You can start at the 13th verse. I believe it's in the 14th verse. It clearly tells you that the Israelites are the saints. Meaning either that hereby through the cruelties and barbarities of the Romish Antichrist, the patience and faith of the saints, the Israelites, are tried, are tested, and that they have great need of them and of the exercise of them under such usage, and that these being tried, the saints being tried, and continue will receive much commendation, honor, and praise. So the Romans used their war machine to physically attack us, kill us, put us in slavery, made us pay tribute. So they're gonna suffer the same fate in the flesh. They're gonna say, "I kill flesh." I don't want to put the middle words in there, inside joke. Or else the scene is that it requires both faith and patience in the saints to believe that Antichrist, or the Roman Empire, the pagan Roman Empire, the ancient Roman Empire, will be thus destroyed, and to wait quietly till the time comes. The Arabic version reads, "Here is the patience and prayers of the saints who cry," Revelation 6, who long will it be ere our blood is avenged, and have need of patience to rest a while till their prayers are answered. Our prayers are getting ready to be answered. Well, let's talk about the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, the Roman Empire is back. It's just not being called the Roman Empire. It's the Romish Antichrist. This is better than the Cambridge. So you're wrong, vocab. Ain't nobody listening to no vocab. You know, Israelites listening to you. Look at this. Okay, Rome occurs. Damn. This is a whole commentary. Okay, Barnes notes on the Bible. Rome, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Let me just jump around. Imprisoning the innocent, or for depriving the nation of liberty. It is unnecessary to say that this is strictly deceptive of Rome, considered in any and every point of view, whether under the Republic, which is the Roman Empire, or the Empire, the Roman Empire, whether secular or ecclesiastical, whether pagan or papal, and the following forms, there has been a complete fulfillment under the mighty power of what is here said. What is here said? He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. In every way, this description is applicable to Rome. Rome, as seeking to lead the world captive. When you put somebody in captivity, you take them against their will. You put a sword to their neck, a gun to their head. You shackle them up. You take them to where you want them to go, and you make them work, or you lock them down. So we were locked down. Even our Lord Yahushua in Luke chapter 4, he said that it's come to set the prisoner free, and not so many words. Luke 4. Or to subject it to its own absolute sway, so that it might seem to be made captive and led off by some victorious host. Rome now is practically, held in subjection by foreign arms. I don't know what that's talking about. He that killeth with the sword, see the notes as above, Matthew 26, verse 52. There can be no doubt that this is applicable to Rome, the Roman Empire, and all the forms of its administration, considered as a pagan power. The Romans were known as pagans. They didn't worship the Lord. Matter of fact, they killed the Lord, the Savior, or considered as a nominally Christian power, either with the reference to its secular or its spiritual dominion. Compute the numbers of human beings that have been put to death by the Roman power. Roman power. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Who has to have patience and faith? The saints, because they're the victims of captivity and being killed with the sword. So they're going to get some get back. And so for anybody listening to vocab, you out your damn mind. And no better language could have been chosen to characterize it than what is used here. Kill with the sword. Compare the notes to Daniel 7:24 to 28. We're going to read that. We don't got to read the Cambridge. We don't got to read the Cambridge. So even your own Christian commentators, they're saying what we say. But if we say it all, that don't mean that. That's talking about the Antichrist. That's the spirit of Satan. It's a spiritual captivity. So let me go to the blue letter, which everybody goes to. Everybody, even Christian, they go, hey, let's go to the blue letter. Okay. Let me do this. So I'm going to start at 24. Really, you can start at 18. I may even read it in the NLT. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. That's talking about the second leg of the Roman Empire, which is the beast system. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and so shall wear out the saints of the Most High. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. He that leadeth into captivity must be led into captivity, right? And shall wear out the saints of the Most High, put them into captivity, and put the sword to them. You put people in captivity because you have a bigger war machine than they have, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and the divine of times. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end. This system is going to be destroyed in the end. Trump and Elon, they're going back and forth, and Elon got the information, he got the photos, he got the record of this guy going down to Epstein's Island a number of times, acting like he don't know what's going on. So it's coming out. So Elon, and that's Psalm 64. You know? They shall tell on each other. I'll read that in a minute. So Elon was an insider, and Elon's getting ready to spill the tea. And you can't say those photos of you and Epstein are Photoshop. You made a statement. Yeah, me and Epstein are good friends. He likes him on the young side. So you know what the fuck was going on. This man is being revealed, Isaiah 47. His shame is being shown. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations, my head, my brain, much trouble me. That's where you get the word cognizant, aware. Your mind and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart and my mind. But is it in your mind? So now let's come over here So I ain't got to say no more, but let's let the young elder speak, because it comes up, so we got to deal with it.
Father Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakwarash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations as always to the elect. And I wanted to go into Revelation, the 13th chapter, verses 9 through 10 briefly. I saw brothers doing videos where you have this guy, Vocab Malone, giving his spin on it. All right. And, ultimately, these various scriptures the Hebrew Israelites are constantly bringing out, it has these Christians going crazy, in particular, these Edomite Christians. All right. Because if this is true, which it is true, all right, then their ass is grass. And that's according to the Holy Scriptures. Now, when you start at verse 9, it states what? If any man have an ear, let him hear. All right. When this is said in the Holy Scriptures, it's letting you know that this is only for those who have the blessing of the Holy Spirit. All right. There were a lot of things that Yahweh Shai said, including, John the Baptist being Elijah, where he specifically said, if you can receive it, or if any man have an ear, let him hear. Okay, meaning you have to be in the spirit to receive this. Those that are outside of the spirit are gonna, do everything in their power to make this scripture to say something else. And that's what that guy did. And I'm not gonna, go to his video and his breakdown. I'm just gonna break it down here, and ultimately you brothers and sisters that watch are edified, because when you go to the topic of slavery, people get all messed up, but slavery is condoned in the Holy Scriptures. Okay, we were slaves in Egypt, weren't we? Why were we slaves in Egypt? Because the Heavenly Father raised up the Egyptians to punish us. All right, you go into the various different captivities of the Israelites in Daniel the 7th chapter. We were slaves in those captivities. You see, we're slaves in this captivity. All right, within our law, there are laws on how to treat a slave. All right. The thing is, the way and mode of slavery that this Edomite practiced, okay, is so brutal and wicked that when you think of servitude and slavery, you automatically get a bad taste in your mouth. Well, servitude has been a part of every nation that ruled. They always had the lessers, all right? You always had.
And you guys, you other nations, you going into captivity. You're going to have to taste captivity. Number one on the list are you Edomites, Roman Empire, Romish Antichrist.
Had the ruling class, and then you always had the slaves, the working class. All right, that's what employee means, slaves. We're slaves in this society. All right. However, this Edomite took everything and went all the way left. Buck breaking our men, raping our children, making them the son sleep with the mother. Okay, cutting our penises off. Okay, just doing all manner of evil and wickedness when you look at his form of slavery. And then he based it upon skin color, you see, which that has never been done. You see, in times past, the ruling class was based upon a particular nation of people. Then you had the elite of that nation. Then you had the, just the regulars of that nation. And then you had the other nations who they had in servitude. Well, in the kingdom of heaven, all right, when you understand the throne of David, you see, when David, subdued the heathen, Solomon forwarded that throne for 40 years, and that's pretty much a prelude to the kingdom of heaven. And the heathen were under us at that time. All right, David actually sung a psalm about it in a few chapters. As a matter of fact, let's see here. Let's see. Moab is my washpot. Let me get that real quick. Real quick. Okay. Psalms 108. All right. And 9. Moab is my washpot. All right. And then what is a washpot? All right. Ultimately a wash basin where Those who like when you go, like our women, they go get their toes done. All right, who they go to the Moabites, because that's what they are. They're natural servants. They're very good at, manicures and things like that. All right, a washpot is one who washes your feet, your hands. They tend to you. Okay, now
Well, Moab is going to wash Esau too. They're going to be behind the Romans. They're going to wash them. That's a more recent saying. You're going to get washed. Matter of fact, let's go here. Let's go to the Urban Dictionary. You're going to get washed. Urban Dictionary. In slang, you're going to get washed means you are going to be defeated or lose in a competition or argument. It's a way of saying you will be outmatched or overpowered. You are going to, let me see. In slang, going to get washed, my ninja. So the most high, hey, all Moab has to do, China, when this Trump fellow, when he, issued these tariffs, all China had to do is all they had to do is issue a call for an embargo and not give anything to America. Because I believe 90+% of the items, the products that we get come from China. So if China said they called for an embargo, America's done. America's done. They don't have to shoot no missiles. America's finished. America's finished. That's when the riots commence. And China can say to other nations that send food products to America, if you send any products to America, we're going to cut you off. America's not in a position to bark orders. You're not in that position. You're like the bully on the block that gets old. You get old, motherfucker gonna kick your ass. Like the term, what's the term? Just came to me. Hegemony. Let's look at the word hegemony. The meaning of the term hegemony in America. The meaning of the term hegemony in America. It says, in the context of America, hegemony refers to the country's position of dominance. The bully, I call it the bully on the block. And influence. And this took place after World War II. There's so many conferences, man. I was talking about the other day, where the World Reserve currency was given from Great Britain to America after World War II. The Bretton Woods Conference, I believe it was. Because you got to know all these terms, man. It says, so they're not in a position of being a bully. So it says, in the context of America, hegemony refers to the country's position of dominance and influence in the international system. Because you had this power post World War II up until now. That's why the dollar was pegged as a $20 gold certificate can get you $20. It can't do that no more. Nixon took did away with the gold standard and the silver standard, because that was done away with too in 1971. Because when people used the dollar, U.S. dollar, it was worth whatever it said on the dollar. That's how much gold you got. It's not like that no more. The ones that can call the shots now is pretty much China and Russia and their allies. You got the BRICS. You notice the BRICS, when the BRICS was formed, that was an alliance to counteract the NATO and EU system. Now they ain't dropping bombs on them because they're saying, well, that's a mutually assured destruction. And the Russians they're gonna open up a can of whip ass on the Zelensky's boys, the Ukraine, because of that attack that they did. And Trump can't do. Ain't nobody listening to Trump no more. They're looking at Trump as a paper tiger, which that's Nero. It says, particularly in areas like politics, economics. They don't have the economics anymore. The dollar's weak. And culture. It also describes the U.S. ability to shape global norms and structures. They don't do that no more. Ain't nobody listening to America. So China and Russia, they're the power now. They're going to wash you devils. Real talk. Okay, let me do this. What was the Bretton Woods Agreement all about? Bretton Woods. The Bretton Woods Agreement, signed in 1944, that was the ending of the war, established a new international monetary system, world reserve currency, which was the dollar, and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank. Its primary goals were to create an economic order and international cooperation to aid post-war, after World War II, post-war recovery, and foster long-term global growth, which they're not doing. They're not doing. What they had to do was convert whatever dollar that they had, the ruble, Russian dollar. They wanted to buy oil from Iran. They had to take their dollar, exchange it into U.S. dollars, FRNs, and then they would buy oil from Iran. And if Iran wanted to buy a weapon from Russia, they would have to convert the Iran dollar, which I don't know the name of the dollar, somebody help me out, to the U.S. dollar, and in order to buy stuff from Russia. So there was it's also called a SWIFT system. Let me look at this. What is the SWIFT economic system? In a nutshell, the SWIFT, Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication Network, is a secure messaging system that facilitates global financial transaction between banks. It's not a payment system itself, but rather a communication channel that allows banks to exchange payments, instructions, and other financial information securely. SWIFT use a unique code, the BIC, Bank Identifier Code, which ultimately is going to go into a CBDC central bank, what is it? CBDC, central bank digital currency, to identify each member institution, ensuring accuracy and security in international transactions. In a nice little fancy way, they're saying you got to be a part of the system. You could take your dollar, put it in this in order to transfer to another country, to pay to another country and make transfers or whatever. So ultimately, they're going to go into that MOTB. And we've been saying it at GMS. These other major camps are not saying it. We believe that they sold out. Anyway, let's come on back over here. I guess I gave you a little economic lesson in economics.
Moab is my washpot. Over Edom will I cast out my shoe, because his enemies was his footstool. Casting out your shoe over your enemy means you rule over them. Just as when Joshua, pretty much when they took down those Hamites, all right, he called his men, all right, and he said, what, all of you put your foot on the necks, all right, of these heathen, all right, to represent what? Dominance over them, okay? The scriptures say that the heathen are going to lick the dust, which is symbolic of them being our footstool. It's not that they're going to actually lick our shoes, all right, but it's all symbolic. It says in the overfill.
If we want them to, if I decide to have Edomites lick my boots, they're going to do it.
Still will I triumph. And Goliath was a Philistine. David took down these various different nations, him and his mighty men. There were other nations as well, but these were the main ones. And right now they're the main ones, ironically, that are going to get taken down. So David, all right, took down the heathen. Solomon, when he forwarded the throne of David for 40 years, all right, the heathen were under us. It was Solomon's mistake that led to us pretty much, that kingdom being rent. All right, now when we go back to Revelation 13, 9 and 10, all right, because we know that we're going to get saved out of captivity. All right, it says this: if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patient and the faith of the saints. So the saints are patiently waiting for this prophecy to come to pass, those who have ears to hear. All right, because you tell the mass.
Because they're the victims of death by the sword, and they're the victims of captivity.
The majority of our people, they get uncomfortable that they're going to have servants. All right, that they're going to be the ruling class. They run from that. You see, well, we don't run from that because we understand what it means. Okay, now when you get this chapter, what is this chapter speaking about? This chapter is speaking of the power structure of Esau Edom. Okay, and it gives you a lot of history, and it talks about how he would go around the planet Earth speaking blasphemies, lying. Okay, blaspheme the name of the Most High, the tabernacle, which are the Israelites, the angels, lying on everything, right? The Roman Empire, the revival of it, and all of that. All right. And right here in verse 7, it says, it was given unto him to make war with the saints. Who's this speaking of? Esau Edom, because you have to remember that there was a blessing given unto the Edomites in Genesis, the 27th chapter. All right. There was a blessing given unto them. Okay. Now, first off, let's get the blessing that was given unto Jacob so that we can make understanding of this. Okay. This is Genesis 27. Okay. And this is the blessing that was given unto Jacob. Verse 28, it says, therefore God give thee the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine. Meaning you're going to, at some point, you're going to control the earth. You're going to have abundance. All right. It says, let people serve thee. Let people serve thee and nations bow down to thee. This is the blessing that was given unto Jacob. Let's look up the word serve. Let nations serve thee. The people are going to serve you, Jacob, under Yahushai, right? Let's see here.
And mainly Esau. The elder shall serve the younger. It happened during the time of King David, King Solomon, and it's going to happen again. That was the vengeance. The vengeance was all about in Ezekiel 25. They got their vengeance as the Romans, or actually the Greeks and the Romans, because they were all Edomites. And it actually says that in Luke. These are the days of vengeance. Vengeance means payback. So let me go to that real quick, and then I'm going to close. You can watch the rest of this. I believe that's Luke 19. Let me do this. Sorry. I put in the word days. Okay, maybe it's let me try it this way. This is Luke 19. I thought it was in Luke 19. Let me try it this way. These are the days of vengeance. Bible. Okay, it's Luke 21. Luke 21. That's what I was going to go to next. Anyway, it says the days of vengeance in the Bible, particularly in Luke 21:22, refers to a time of the Most High's judgment. And while it says the same thing, it's fucking ridiculous, man. Bear me for a minute. It said the days of vengeance in the Bible, particularly in Luke 21:22. It's also spoken about in Luke 19, but it doesn't mention the word vengeance. Referred to a time of the Most High's judgment and punishment for sin. This phrase is often associated with the destruction of Jerusalem or Jerusalem in 70 AD. That's the Romans, by the Romans. So the Romans took vengeance. When did they take vengeance? When we had them in the captivity under King David, King Solomon. But can also be interpreted more boldly as a time of the Most High's wrath and retribution throughout history. No, it's a specific time, and I'm gonna prove that. Then I'm gonna close. So when they took us down as the Edomites. So we finally got these Israelites back. So now we got to get in. We've been down since 2,000 years ago. We've been down. We've been up. At those 2,000 plus years, we've been up for about 1,000 years. When we went into captivity, we were down. From the time we went into captivity, the first Western African slaves went to Santo Domingo. A lot of these Dominicans are actually Nigerians and West Africans. They'll look at you like you got 3 heads. You tell them that. You guys are African. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. Okay, these be the days of vengeance. So let me do this. I even mentioned Josephus. Oh, let me just go here. The day of vengeance, see Daniel 9, verse 26 to 27, which is the same. Daniel 9 and 26 to 20. You can start 24, 26 to 27. Goes hand in hand with Luke 21:22. Josephus again and again calls attention to the abominable wickedness of the Jews as the cause of the divine retribution which overtook them, and the ways of the Jews, declaring. Let me do this. Okay, right here. It says, by armies, encamped armies, that is besieged. That's in Luke 19. They build a wall around the wall of Jerusalem, the abomination of desolation, meaning the Roman ensigns as a symbol of an idolatrous, pagan, unclean power, spoken by Daniel, the prophet, Daniel 9:27, standing where it ought not, right? Mark 13, standing, the abomination that maketh desolate, standing where it ought not. They were in the temple. Mark 13:14, whoso readeth that prophecy, let him understand. Matthew 24:15. So the Lord was prophesying that the Romans are going to take y'all down. So when you saw the abomination that maketh desolate standeth in where it ought not, then flee. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom. On to the next shalom.